back in March 2011. So there is Gilbert and Pilmore Brady, and it's starting at the back of the grid. That looks to be the number 60 of Ben Holland and Wayne Stevens, so I'm not quite sure why they're starting at the back of the grid, but nonetheless they are. As the revs rise, red lights are on, out they go, and a good start again, as you would expect, from the short wheelbase Formula 2 outfit of Brian Ilaria and Josh Saunders. Ben Holland and Wayne Stevens make up one position. They've made up two positions on the run towards Riches for the first time of 7, and round Riches they go. It is going to be a tall order there for the number 60 machine of Ben Holland and Wayne Stevens, the WPS Racing outfit, coming from the back of the grid. But round the right-hander at Wilson's they go, and a little bit of elbows out action for second position as they go round turn number 2, the tight right-hand hairpin, then into Palmer's, the first left-hander on this 3-mile circuit, and it is Simon Gilbert and Jed Pilmore Brady who lead the way on the number 11 ahead of Brian Ilaria and Josh Saunders. That looks to be the number 15 machine of Bainborough and Rutland, I think that was, up next in third. That's to say that they are second of the Formula 2s as they go around Agostini's, and Ben Holland and Wayne Stevens certainly making their presence felt as they try and go the long way round of Bainborough and Rutland through the left-hander at Hamilton's, and they make the move. So from the back of the grid up to third position before they've even got to the back straight. Next in their firing line is the number 8 of Brian Ilaria and Josh Saunders, the Formula 2 championship leaders coming into this weekend, and in fact they remain the championship leaders with a perfect 3 out of 3 so far in the races here at Snetterton. So down the back straight, where unfortunately we can't actually see the outfits because they're tucked so low down behind the Armco, but they're already under the bridge into the left-hander of Brundle's. Quick change of direction, especially for the passenger, trying to get all his weight from the left to the right for Nelson's. Out of Nelson's, through the bomb hole, and then on towards Corum's, which is exactly where we find your race leaders, number 11, Simon Gilbert and Jed Pilmore Brady. And around the outside, that's what Ben Holland and Wayne Stevens are trying to do on Brian Ilaria and Josh Saunders, but not quite managing to draw alongside them on the approach into Murray's. But can they use the power of that Formula 1 outfit along the start-finish straight? Of course they will be benefiting from the slipstream, but that Formula 2 outfit of Ilaria and Saunders is quick in a straight line, and Ben Holland and Wayne Stevens not close enough to challenge. A spit of flame from the number 60 as he goes down the gearbox, throws it into the right-hander for Riches, but it's a 5.4 second lead for Gilbert and Pilmore Brady. Ilaria and Saunders 0.3 of a second up the road from Ben Holland and Wayne Stevens. Then it's McCain and Oldroyd 2.7 seconds away. Bainborough and Rutland in 5th position now at the end of lap number 1, 3 seconds up the road from the Fairhurst brothers. Then it's Petman and Webb, and the number 19 of Peach and Edwards rounding out the field. So we do have 3 Formula 2 outfits and 5 Formula 1 outfits out on circuit. Unfortunately, it looks as though that we don't have the flat twin BMW of Will and Andy Smith, and they were a retirement in race number 1 this morning. So 5.4 seconds is the gap between Gilbert and Ilaria, but Ben Holland and Wayne Stevens have now found their way through on the number 8 Formula 2. So round Oggies they go, and they'll have about 6 seconds worth of clear track between themselves and the outfit of Simon Gilbert and Jed Pilmore Brady. And we mentioned yesterday that, of course, Simon Gilbert has been racing sidecars for something like 30 or 35 years or so. And Jed Pilmore Brady, a very successful passenger in his own right, and is the hill climb record holder at Shelsley Walsh. So there's some trivia for you, Keith.
Yeah, absolutely. That's quite a remarkable achievement. Shelsley Walsh, one of the most famous hill climb in the country. So by default, that makes it one of the most famous hill climbs in the world. And to say you can claim the lap record there is pretty impressive stuff. So yeah, good luck to Jed Pilmore. I'm not quite sure. Who did you say he was with? Do you know?
Ian Guy.
It was Ian Guy. I thought you said that. Yeah, cool. All right. So where are we? We just completed the first lap there, and Gilbert and Winfield leading Ilaria and Saunders. Holland and Stevens, they've not able to provide quite such a challenge this time by the look of it. We'll wait and see. There they go in second place, so they pass the F2 outfit of Ilaria and Saunders.
Ben Holland and Wayne Stevens did start from the back of the grid.
Okay.
They were scheduled to be there on pole position, but they started the warm-up and the race from the back of the grid. But the deficit they've got to try and overcome is now 6.699 or 6.7 seconds, there or thereabouts.
Maybe they did that just to amuse themselves. You can never tell, really, can you? It's always someone. Well, Simon Gilbert, now the new leader in the championship after his 2 wins yesterday and his second place earlier today. So Simon not unaccustomed to standing at the top of the podium as we award the prizes at the end of the year at the National Motorcycle Museum up there in Birmingham. As everybody who started the race is still running, Peach and Edwards have overcome those mechanical woes which curtailed them in the earlier race. And they complete their first flying lap. And people like Wes Petman are going to try and prove that a good consistent run throughout the year, just putting those points in time after time after time, can lead you to a good end of year position. Wes Petman was briefly leading the championship at the end of the first race yesterday, so that's something you can say, albeit temporarily, but hey, you can only beat who shows up, as the Gravesend pairing well knows. So let's see where they can finish the year. If they can keep putting in those good performances. Obviously, sidecar racing is not a cheap hobby, as is any form of racing at the end of the day, but sidecar racing really takes it to the next level. And they are pretty much maintenance monsters as well. Simon Gilbert proved over the last couple of years that the R9, a relatively simple understressed engine, has been quite complicated to get working well with the dry sump in that ride chassis. He's worked very closely with Dean Wright. If you want to see some beautiful engineering, please go and look at these sidecars, particularly items like that of Simon Gilbert, the ride chassis where Dean builds the whole thing, including the floor, things like the brakes. That's all made by Dean. Maybe he doesn't actually make the brake pads. That'd probably be the only thing he doesn't make, I think.
You'll have to go to Hero at Vesra for that one.
Yeah, I have to go see Hero at Vesra. And again, I've just been speaking to another rider earlier at lunch break. I spoke to David May, who tried some of the Vesra brake pads and came back absolutely astounded. And the other person who tried them, because Jeremy had some of the Vesra pads in his ZX10, so when he lent into Tyler, one of the first things Tyler said when he came back was, wow, those brakes are amazing, why are they so different to mine? Obviously he found the ZX10 pretty similar to his as he got on, but he said the brakes were next level, no fade, no knockback whatsoever. Very, very impressed. So I don't know if you're listening at home, Hero, but your brake pads are certainly getting some rave reviews. So Holland and Stevens came across the line there around about 5.5 seconds away, but they've set the fastest lap of the race. They went 1.1 seconds quicker than Gilbert and Pillmore Brady. I don't know why that hasn't been updated at all, actually. I'm surprised that they haven't spoken to somebody in race control or timing or something. Or maybe it is Cameron Winfield who's really in the chair. I don't know, and they've been lying to us. Just seeing how long we'll keep making the mistake. You don't have to try and find mistakes for us to make. We're quite capable of making them.
We can make our own.
All by ourselves. So Gary and Mick Fairhurst there, the brothers, who've already run the P Injection Championship. And they've won all the races that they've been in that, and they've got the track record at every circuit as well. They're still running around out there, and they will be gaining points in our championship as well as Gilbert and Simon and Jed. It's the Simon and Jed show. Jed and Simon, Simon and Jed. Now Simon and Jed, I think, sounds good, doesn't it?
I'd say so.
Yeah, I'll go with the Simon and Jed show on that one. Anyway, they come across the line almost exactly 1.11 seconds, or no, it is exactly 1.11 seconds slower than their rivals behind, who are gaining fast but are running out of time. If they keep coming at this rate, they won't actually take the win. So they need to go that a little bit quicker. I hope their rivals go that a little bit slower, but it was a PB that time for Simon Gilbert and Jed Pillmore Brady with a 206.144 as against the 205.133 for their rivals. Larry Saunders now 11.4 seconds behind, but still leading the F2s. McKay and Rolford are your second of your F2s ahead of the Bainborough Rutland outfit. So they're all pretty spread out, those three. Next to the F1s, in third place there is the machine of Gary and Mick Fairhurst. And that leaves the fourth place man of Petman and Webb, ahead of Carol Peach and Ken Edwards. Quick look at the sector times as the leaders make their way down the back straight. The number 11 machines obviously going to be the first to trip the timing green. They went into the greens last time. This time it's a yellow, a couple of tenths of a second slower than their best. So maybe they're on for another fastest lap. Be interesting to see how much the gap closes. Doesn't actually. They go quicker than the guys behind them. So maybe a few taps on the shoulders there from Jed on Simon has told it really they're getting a little bit closer. Maybe need to twist the throttle a little bit harder. The ones who do a better performance in the first sector that time are Alaria and Saunders, who go green this time. McCain and Aldroyd up next, and they also decide to go green in that sector. So there's a faster lap out there somewhere, because Ben Holland has set the fastest first sector and Simon Gilbert the fastest second sector. Neither of them have put it all together perfectly as Simon comes across the line to complete lap 5. And now what does that mean?
He's gone into the pits. That's
what I thought. Okay,
good.
Into
the pits, yeah. PS pit stop.
Yeah, okay.
Number 60, Ben Holland and Wayne Stevens.
Okay, so that's going to promote everybody behind them, of course, unless they come flying out of the pits. But Lara and Saunders, so maybe it's just a test run. I don't know if Ben and Wayne are doing the British Championship. I wouldn't be surprised. I thought they were down on our list. Yeah, they are. They score points back at Brands Hatch. However, maybe it's an issue, or maybe it is just a test session. Well, I would have thought it was a test session. They still would have finished the race, though, because obviously track time for the sidecars is a little bit hard to come by. So they now go tumbling down the order, and that is going to promote Gary and Mick Fairhurst up into second place in that particular pursuit, and that will gift Petman and Webb the third place as well. So medals all around. Gilbert and Saunders on the back straights. Looks like they're going to put a lap on the Petman and Webb outfit, as they already have done to the Peach and Edwards outfit. So just the 6 racing laps for those two particular machines. Gary and Mick Fairhurst come across the line pretty much untroubled. Just relegates the Holland and Stevens outfit. So it looks like we're going to have 7 outfits finish this race if everybody makes it to the end. I'm not trying to put the commentator's curse on anybody, because it would be nice to see everybody get to the end. There's a lot that goes into any sort of racing. Certainly sidecar racing, as the last lap flag is now being displayed. And that means Gilbert and Saunders are making their way up the straight.
It's a difficult one to get into, really, isn't it? Sidecar racing. Not that it's a gated community and you're not allowed to do it. It's just not the most accessible in terms of track time availability. It's not like you can rock up to Cadwell on a Tuesday evening and go, "Can I put my sidecar around for a bit?" And they go, "Yeah, sure."
Yeah.
There's not too many opportunities. I think it's been a few years since Mallory put on the sidecar day or evening. I think that was Wednesdays.
It was afternoon. It used to be the open testing on a Wednesday, because I went there a few times myself. And you have sidecars on in the afternoon, or allowed on the afternoon.
Yeah, I think it's been a few years since that's been a thing.
That was back in the days when track days weren't really a thing. So if you had an ACU licence, you could go and play on the track, which is exactly why I got the ACU licence initially, because I wanted to go on track with my bike. And then I realised I was enjoying this a bit too much, so I thought I'd go racing. But back in the day, there was no real such thing as track days. There was the odd one run by various clubs like the Motor Marini Club and things like that. They'd hire Cadwell for the day, but track days as a commercial enterprise were definitely not a thing, and it took a while. I did actually realise quite early on that it could be quite a viable thing, given that Cadwell back in the 90s could be rented for the day for something like £3,000. So if you can get 100 people giving you 100 quid, that could be a reasonable amount of profit. And unfortunately, first finds you 100 people.
Red flag gone out on this final lap there.
Okay, that will be a result. Not quite sure why. What have we got there?
A spinner up at Wilson's.
I think it's probably stalled and stuck in the track.
Yeah.
Well spotted, mate.
Double yellows waved, and of course red flags going out on this final lap. and it looks like the top 4 went through to start the final lap as well, so I imagine that will be called a result, with 85% race distance complete. And it's nice to see that you can see Jed Pillmore Brady.
I think that could well be one of the top 4 who've spun down there, actually.
I think
quite sure.
Jed Pillmore Brady was just waving to the marshals when he went by, and he's a nice guy, is Jed Pillmore Brady.
Yep, no, very nice.